Alright guys, it's about to get real. Sometimes when you go to a plastic surgeon, you don't always get what you hoped or things go not so good. And it's really going to be your responsibility to defend yourself because the likelihood that a surgeon or whomever your provider may be, that they will bring it up and do the responsible thing and take care of you and make sure their result is what you paid for is very slim in my experience. And so this is intended to protect you. The best thing to do before you go in to have anything done is to have a lot of pictures of yourself straight on and then at 45-degree angles is always a good idea. And try to get those pictures when it isn't the first thing in the morning. You don't want first thing in the morning pictures because that could alter the pictures. You also want the pictures taken post whatever you have done with the same lighting at about the same time of day. So you want that stuff to be very clear. The reason I'm bringing this up is now, after 2.5 years, I'm going back in for corrective procedures. It's taken me 2.5 years because the doctor kept trying to charge me, particularly to have my eye done. So this left eye falls a lot heavier than the right eye, and it always did. It's something I brought up immediately after surgery, and what he did was he put Bellafill, which is a filler, over the eye to kind of lift it, to make it look like this one. So you see how that could actually work. The thing is, Bellafill doesn't last forever, and my body absorbs it really quickly. And so it fell pretty rapidly. And he wanted to charge me $750, which I didn't agree with because I am going in for a corrective procedure, and you yourself basically acknowledged that it needed correction when you chose to put that filler in, which by the way I paid for. And these fillers, if you've ever had fillers done before, they're really expensive and they're temporary. Even Bellafill doesn't last forever, although that is supposedly the longest lasting one. And I say supposedly only because if there's something else out there I'm not aware of, but I'm pretty sure that's the longest lasting one right now. So that's what he did. So basically that's an acknowledgement that this did not turn out right. The thing is, your family and friends, after you get something done, they're very unlikely to tell you if something has gone wrong or it isn't exactly right. Number one, you've just put in a lot of money and time for healing, and they just kind of want to pump you up and make you feel good. So it's your responsibility post doing anything to really have an honest assessment of what was done. And if there are little things, if something is a little off, I can see letting it go. But when something is significantly off, then you do want to stand up for yourself and get a corrective procedure. Now, doctors aren't required to give you corrective procedures for free. Some of them will charge you fees associated with it. So like this doctor wanted to charge me $750 associated with this. And over the years, as I've brought it up numerous times, granted I'd never had the right approach, obviously. But finally he brought it down to 300, and I felt that was more doable. Although I still questioned, why am I having to pay for a corrective procedure? And the answer was, because you're dealing with a skilled surgeon. Well, if I agree, he is a skilled surgeon, but that doesn't address the fact that this uneven look is the result of his skilled work. So I really don't get why I'm having to pay for it twice now. First with the Bellafill and now. But regardless, it's happening finally. So 2.5 years later, people have noticed it. I'm getting that done. This doctor is also not very close to me, and so that's another reason I didn't just pop in, but mostly it was the cost. I finally got him to go down on that $750. So another tip is, be sure when you sit down with anyone, you find out what they will charge you if anything needs to be corrected or adjusted. and they still may not agree with what you think needs to be corrected, but it's something that it's worth having the conversation. Another thing I'm going in for is I did my nose, and so one nostril is really tiny compared to the other one. Not ridiculously tiny, but you can see it. And particularly when I take photos at a certain angle, or when I'm doing videoing, now you guys will see it forever. Well, hopefully he'll fix it. So the goal is to get the nostrils about the same size. Overall, I'm really happy with the nose, which is why I would never deny the fact that this is a good surgeon. However, I won't go back to a surgeon. There are things I've done after seeing him, and I've refused to go back because of how he's handled the issue with the eye primarily. I mean, at the time, that was really my number one concern, and he chose to say that I have to pay $750. Well, I paid him more money than I'm ever going to admit on this show. And so for you to come back and tell me that to correct your procedure I need to pay another $750, I didn't feel that was very reasonable. And so that ends my relationship with this doctor, which has cost him thousands of dollars in things that I've done since that time. So if any doctors are watching this, probably be offended by my opinion and my advice. I'm not here to address your needs right now. I am here to protect the consumer, because this kind of stuff, I've had to deal with this for the last 2.5 years, and it's just not fair. It just isn't fair. I mean, he himself sees that these things have happened, and he refuses to take responsibility. But ultimately, if you're looking out for your best interest, and if you see a client who will be coming in on a regular basis, it's in your best interest to take care of them. I mean, these procedures, if you're a surgeon, you know it's going to be super quick. It's going to be in the office, no general anesthesia. It's going to be in and out, and he's losing thousands as a result of not taking care of me. I say that with no guilt whatsoever, because I've had to live with this. A third thing I will be having done is, if you notice, this area here is kind of white, as is this area. Well, when I run over these areas with this Q-tip, there's this like rubbery texture under there. There are these rubbery little lumps. That's from the Bellafill. So I had Bellafill put in my face, and it gave me this fullness that's very, very beautiful. And this is a skilled surgeon. I mean, for someone to put Bellafill here, a lot of it is gone in 2.5 years, which is why I really am skeptical about these fillers, because Bellafill is supposed to last 5 years, or 80% of it is supposed to last 5 years. So 2.5 years later, I'm missing most of my Bellafill. And but he was very skilled. He had this whole area nicely filled. He had all of this here lifted. I mean, I walked out of there just feeling amazing. The issue is that in 2.5 years, I've just aged rapidly, and that's hard to take mentally. But that's another thing we've been discussing for 2.5 years. He came into my city once, and he sat down with me and saw it. And during that time, I didn't understand what was happening here. I just kept saying I had these lumps. And he was just like, well, keep me posted. Well, keep me posted. Well, I finally went into other providers, and they explained to me what was happening. And it was only then that he would actually concede that this is something that is the result of his work, which I don't blame him for. It happens. But he should have offered to fix it. So again, I would say that the other tip I have is that when you notice things have gone wrong, go into other providers and get their opinion. Because your doctor, if he's like mine, he may try to claim that you're being too particular. And if that's the case, then you're going to need other experts to weigh in and to educate you, like to educate me on what are these lumps and why is it kind of a bright white here. that makes these tear troughs stand out even more than they would otherwise.